to CRL Cryptic Racing League. It is round 4 of the Legends Division season, and we are in Mexico tonight, and we have a sprint race on the line as well. It is your commentator Jedi back once more for this hopefully amazing race tonight. A reminder, sprint format of 1-shot qualifying, 5-lap sprint. Then it's 18 minutes into a full race, or 50% race distance. Hello, Daniel. But let's see who will take pole in the sprint race tonight. Could be Vince. He's shown good pace this season. Let's see how it goes. So wait for the drivers to get ready to go into this. As hello, Salvo, Rocket League. I'm not sure which driver you are if you're a driver, but we're about to go in to 1-shot qualifying tonight. As predictions, anyone has any? But we're ready to go into this Mexico Grand Prix sprint qualifying. As here we go now. As you'll go on board with Vince in the Williams, Fiore in the McLaren. It's everyone off to the start, and it's all starting to just spread out a little bit as Vince and Fiore both close to each other at the front of this already. Fiore now jumping, Fiore and Vince through the first sector, jumping past one another. Daniel's in third, Shankly in fourth, Rocco down in sixth. KZ Matty now up to second. It's shown some good pace so far this season as a Polish driver. We'll see what he can do through the rest of it. As now Vince in the second sector, coming towards the end of the second sector in a short moment's time. Nicely taken this sweeping section at a good rate of knots, but now into the final sector goes Vince. Rocco's now up to third, KZ dropping down to 6th position, fighting with Daniel and in 6th. They're in a battle for 4th, those three. But Vince now rounding the final corner of the track. I'll be flat out to the line now for the Williams driver, and it's a 1 minute 15.1 as everyone will sort of cross the line around the same time as Shankly. The only disqualification of the session. So Vince takes pole, there's Fiore, Rocco, Daniel, Ninzix, KZ, Pacey Smasher, Thomas James, Togger, Shankly, who got disqualified. 2.4 between first and last. We have a minute or so until we go into the race. Let's see how this sprint race will go. As any predictions for the race winner will be appreciated, as we have this little bit of a pause between the two sessions. as we're about to go in to the sprint race now. 5 laps around Mexico. To the 5 red lights we go. Everyone's on the soft. It's 5 red lights out, and away we go. And it's a slow start from a few. Ninzix gets a very good start, but so does KZ Matty. Rocco dropping down to 10th off the start. He'll be looking to try fight up into Simon Vince on the inside and Simon Fiora on the outside. KZ Matty up into 3rd, Daniel in 4th. Rocco climbing up the grid now, but Fiora trying to take a wheel to wheel with Vince here. And Daniel trying to take a wheel to wheel with KZ Matty for 3rd position. That's the two of them going a bit all over the place there. Vince and Fiora still leading this Grand Prix. Rocco is on the way back up the grid, down in 9th at the moment. He's trying to get past the 2nd off the Salvers Shankly to go up to 8th. Ahead of him is Ninzix and Thomas James going wheel to wheel. 10 drivers at the moment here. We should have an 11th leaving or joining too. Shankly a bit off the track there. Rocco getting up ahead of him. And the Salvers now 9th and 10th in this race. As will one of them go for a dive bomb on him. I thought for a second Shankly was going to. Shankly does run off the track a little bit. Pasty Smasher there now, trying to make something happen. And now Rocco chasing down Thomas James. The two Salvers still going wheel to wheel with one another. Vince, that's the fastest lap of the race. 1 minute 19.037. Fiora now hot on his tail with the DRS. KZ Matty hot on his tail with the DRS. Then Daniel starting the DRS train back down to Rocco in 8th position. These top 3 look to be set to be the top 3 in this sprint race, and Rocco is just on the recovery drive to see what he can get out of this. But now, we're right on board with this battle. We'll go with Fiora. We'll keep our eyes on it. He is in the middle of this, so we can see either him making an attack or KZ making an attack. As now coming down the third DRS zone. Fiora had a little look for something, couldn't make anything happen. He'll look at it down into turn 1 if he gets close enough now. Rounding the final corner now goes Vince, Fiora and KZ Matty. Fiora almost 5 tenths back. Vince with the new fastest lap of the race. Fiora hot on his tail and he's closing in at a good pace. Can he get down the inside into turn 1 this time? He'll go for it and he's up ahead on the run into turn 1. Does Vince have anything to fight back with? He doesn't by the looks of things. And Fiora will have the second helping of DRS, with it being a double DRS zone, to just pull away off from Vince even more. So that's Rocco around in turn 3 and down to 10th. He'll still score points, but dropping back down the grid, that's the last thing he wanted in this race tonight. But he has 36 laps to come after this in the main race to try and make something happen, something of a comeback happen if he can. Mexico, very high speed track. Fiora now rounding final couple of corners on the end of lap 3, going on to lap 4 until 7.5 tenths, 6.5. This is around 7 tenths of a gap as Rocco 2-second time penalty for multiple track limit warnings. But Fiora, can he pull away? Fiora with fastest lap of the race, that lap at 1:16.177. As Vince is going to look down to the inside on Fiora. Fiora will look for a switchback if he can, and they're going to continue battling it out on lap 4 or 5. KZ Matty just waiting for anything to happen. Togo with a 2-second time penalty in a 5-lapper for track limits. And now we continue to ride on board as Thomas James and Ninzix going wheel to wheel for 5th position. That is going to let Daniel start to pull away from them. Tugge in behind, trying to open up the gap to Shankly and Pasty Smasher. Rocco dropping further back now. He's not having a good race at all. But Fiora, well, he looked to the inside, he had a little think about him and then decided against it. Nice, Vince had a little bit of a snap there by the looks of it. That's going to let Fiora go right in behind him. As down the main straight we go. DRS open. Fiora again as much of a toe as he can, then pulling to the inside. Down, ahead of Vince. Down on the run still on Vince will tuck in behind him. And Fiora will have that double helping of DRS. Vince now pushing it as much as he can. Rocco again. Another spin for him. So that could be him calling it an end in this sprint race now as he does retire from the sprint. But now, Kizamati is fancying his chances of a move for second place on Vince, and Vince, who started on pole, could drop down as far as third now. But keep an eye on how this pans out. As Kizamati will have the DRS, will he go for a late lunge? Will he be close enough? He won't be. Basic Smasher with a 2-second time penalty now. So he's going to finish 9th in this race. Shankly up ahead of Tugger. But Fiora will come round the final corner to take the sprint race win. Vince will take second. Kizamati third. Daniel picks up a last second 2-second time penalty. And everything's starting to break out behind. Here Daniel will cross the line in fourth, but he's going to drop down to 7th place. As the top 3 all cross close to each other, then the next 6 all cross as well, all close to each other. Daniel drops down to 7th position in this race. And we'll get final confirmation of the results now, as Fiora wins with the fastest lap of the race. Vincent second, Kizamati in third, Thomas James in fourth, and in sixth and fifth, Shankly in sixth, Daniel in seventh, Tugger in eighth, Basic Smasher in ninth, and then Rocco retiring from the race. And we'll now get the lobby settings ready for the main race here. As we are back and we're ready to go into the main race now. So ready to go into the 18 minutes qualifying session as Daniel, Jesus, complaining about an incident is in a fucking sprint. Never mind typing and being a keyboard fucking warrior, just report it. It's simple, it's easy. It's not that fucking hard to report. As we wait to see who the first driver in this qualifying session will be to leave the pit lane. We're just gonna see who it will be. We have the first few leaving, and the first to leave is going to be Fiora. Hungarian driver first to pull out of the pit lane. Let's see what will happen in this qualifying session tonight. As we have 16 minutes left for someone to do something in this session. But we'll go through the standings afterwards. We'll go over constructors before Fiora starts his lap. Racing Bulls leads by 4 points over Mercedes, then Red Bull, Aston Martin, Ferrari, Haas, Alpine, Williams, Sauber, and McLaren. Nice. quite amped till we end on McLaren, because the McLaren of Fiora is about to start the lap. Down on the run, DRS open now on the long run down towards turn 1. So already at almost 15 seconds by the time he hits the apex of turn 1. And now going into the second DRS zone after turn 3. A bit of a snap in turn 3 there. DRS open for the Hungarian. As we'll see if he continues on this lap and continues pushing. You'd expect him probably to, as soon as he has an invalidity, get a banker lap on the board, something to improve on. As Shankly, the only driver not to leave the pitch yet in this race. Oh, sorry, not in this race, in this qualifying session. But Fiora in Sector 2 now, as I think he's setting up for another push in a moment's time, so we'll go on board with the Aston Martin off Thomas James instead. A bit of a return to racing here as Aldia was open towards the end of the second sector now, 56.9 through the first 2 for him. And we'll see how that will stand up against Vince in a moment's time. Now rounding the final corner for Thomas James. This opening lap in the qualifying session is a 16.4 for him. It's a 15.4 for Vince behind. Ninzix will be next. He has invalidated his lap, however, so Togo will be next to the line. It's a 16.9 for him. Then it will be Pacey Smash up in second with a 16.1. Daniel starting a lap. Morocco coming to the end of the lap. It's a 16.7 for him. We've got Daniel, Fiora, KZ, Matty, and Ninzix all on laps. Ninzix looks to be backing out of one. As KZ Matty through sector 2 now, and we'll see what he can do in this second sector. It's towards the end of it now. It's 56.2, around the same pace as what Vince was on his opening lap of the session. So the two of them showing decently even pace. As now to the end of the lap, rounding the final corner goes KZ Matty, and to the line is 15.6 from him. Next to the line will be Fiora's 55.6 through the first 2 sectors for him. That's the end of the lap. It's a 14.9 for Fiora. That's a very, very good lap for him. Found a good amount of time in that final sector. As Daniel to the end of his lap is a 16.5 for him. He moves into 6th position. Ninzix to the line is a 28.2 for him, but he's going to set off on a push lap now. And I think behind Rocco is also on another push lap, so we'll keep an eye on both of them. But Ninzix now through the first, second and third turns, and now it's going to be DRS open and pushing to the end of the first sector for him. It's 28 something for him. Rocco to the line, he's 4/10ths up on his time, so Rocco finding a good time. Ninzix also finding some time on his lap. Now through the second sector goes Ninzix. Shankly still yet to set a lap time in this session, yet to even leave the pit lane. Ninzix up, Rocco invalidating in behind the Sauber of Pasty Smasher, who then pulls out of his way. Ninzix to the end of this final sector to end his lap off. It's a 16.4 and he's up into 6th position, ahead of Daniel but behind Thomas James. Rocco, as expected, into the pits this time round. Is anyone on a push lap? Daniel looks to be on a push lap. Toga is on an out lap, so we have a couple of people out on push laps now. Daniel to the end of his lap, into the pit lane he goes. Same with Ninzig, so we'll come on board with Tugger about to start lap. It's now down into turn 1 for Tugger, rounding turn 1 into turn 2, through turn 3, down towards the end of this first sector. It's a quarter of a second improvement from Tugger in the first sector, but he's still got 2 more sectors to keep it up and possibly even find more time. It's now to the end of the second sector. It's almost 1/10 improvement for Tugger, and can he keep it up through this final sector? It's the end. It's a 16-1 for Tugger and is up into 5th position, as now we have a Rocco starting a lap. We also have Vince and KZ and Matty out on laps, so we'll ride on board with Vince, 3/10 up in the first sector. Can he find more time in the second and third? Five-tenths improvement. So now Vince invalidates. So Vince invalidating. Gives him Matty down by almost 3 seconds. So Rocco now on a push lap. We'll see what he can do. Through the second sector we go. DRS open down towards the second sector split. 1.1 improvement. So Rocco firing the car into that right hander at the start of the final sector. It's now rounding the final corner. It's a line, we go with Rocco, and it's up into second. It's a 15-3 for the Croatian driver. KZ Matty now setting off onto another push lap. Try to get a little bit of a toe off Rocco there. It's down into turn 1 we go with the Polish driver. Through turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, and now the case of burning a little bit of battery. DRS open. It's down towards the end of the first sector we go, and he's a 1/10 of a second up, which is going to put the pressure on Vince and possibly even Rocco if he continues to gain time throughout this lap. It's the end of the second sector. It's almost 3/10 improvement for KZ Matty. He's flying on this lap in this, well, what looks to be a battle for second in this session, is now rounding the final couple of corners into the final corner now for the Croatian drivers to the line now. It's a 15-3-9-7 into third position. He goes Daniel. What can he do on this lap? In the Red Bull. So that is a 1.1 improvement, but it's only 4th position. Does jump Vince, however. Ninzig's now, he's improving as well. Where will he go with this lap? Rounding the final corner for him, up to 7th. It's a 3/10 improvement at the end of that lap. So everyone finding some time. Good improvements from everyone there. Will Shankly get a chance at setting a lap time in this session or not? Because he's still yet to go out on a push with Thomas James out for another push lap. We'll see what he can do. Unless anyone goes for a second push lap, but we have 4 minutes left in the session, so I don't know if anyone will really have time to do one. But Thomas James, Fiora, Shankly finally leaving the pit lane. Thomas James about to set off on a final push lap. It's now down, DRS open, pushing towards turn 1. He goes. First few corners now towards the end of the first sector. It's 2.5 down. It's not burnt any battery. As now instead we'll go on board with this is in, it's gonna be Fiora on board with almost 2/10 in the first sector for him. Is that him backing out this lap a little bit? I can't tell. There may have been a small mistake there from him. Missed what that second sector split was, as I wasn't fully paying attention there, but to the end of the second sector we go with Fiora, and he did back up that he's going to set off on a push lap now, so we'll keep an eye on that. But Shankly to the end of his lap, his first lap and possibly his only push lap of this session, it's a 16.422 for him. Next up is going to be his teammate Pasty Smash, who's almost 3/10 down in that first sector. See if he can find any more time. Through the second, I think he's also backing out for another lap. He's backing out for another push lap in a moment's time. Thomas James. Is he on a push lap maybe? No, he can't be, I don't think he is. He's setting up, yep, he's setting up for a push lap. Fiora is also setting up for a push lap. Is anyone actually on a push lap? Is it Matty's not? Vince isn't. Shankly isn't. Rocco's 100th up, so I think he's on a push lap. May have finally found someone on a push lap now in this qualifying session. It's rounding the final corner now for Rocco. That 10th improvement is not enough to take provisional pole, as the session's now over. Daniel was a 10th up in the first. He's 2/10 up in the second. Does he have what it takes to find more time? as Daniel finds 2/10, he goes into third position. Next is going to be Thomas James. Can he find any more time on his lap? It's rounding the final corner now. The Aston Martin driver does find time and he jumps a position. Tugger next, he's down on his lap time. Pasty Smasher's also down and invalidated on his. Fiora's almost 2/10 up through the first two sectors to the line. He finds even more time. That could be pole position. Kazamati 9,000ths down in the first two sectors. He finds 500ths. Vince 5/10 up to the line. He can't take pole position. There's two more drivers now. Shankly, who's down. Rocco, who's also down. And that is the end of the qualifying session. So Fiora takes pole positions. Vince, Rocco, Daniel, KZ, Pace Smash, Ninzix, Thomas James, Tugger, and Shankly. So we got a couple of minutes until the start of the race. Well, we got about a minute until the start. So, as for Drivers' Championship, we have Rocco leading it. 19 points out of Daniel. Then it's Fire Striker and KZ Matty. Then we have Vince, Roadrunner, Ninzix, Tugger, Fiora Lewis. There's Evanchek, Thomas James, Dax, Pixie Smasher, Keegan, Shankly, Max Perrin, KSA, Hairvolt, RHK, You Gotta Love Nico, Fuzzy Culvert, and Cellular Pie. So we're ready to go into the qualifying session now. as we're about to go race into the 5 red lights here tonight in Mexico. It's lights out and away we go. Everyone on mediums with Thomas James and Tugger, who both are on the hards, and Tugger already losing out to Shankly at the front. Rocco jumping Pacey Smash up into 5th, and now wheel to wheel with Daniel on that battle for 4th position. So rounding the first couple of corners, they continue to go side by side. Fiora and Vince also going wheel to wheel with KZ and Matty getting involved as well if he can. KZ and Vince both will pass Fiora. Fiora not with that straight line speed at the start of this race. He's going to try to fight back against KZ and Matty. KZ and Matty going to go around the outside though. Daniel's going to try to bully his way through as well, and Rocco is just going to sit behind them watching Daniel going for a very audacious lunge there. Getting past Fiora, dropping him down to 4th, but we know Daniel tends to drop off in the second half of the race, and he does pick up penalties as well, which is often goes against him in races. Fiora dropping from pole down to 4th on this first lap of the race, but still a long way to go in this race. It's Vince's fastest lap of the race on lap 1, but still time to go where that can change, as Fiora now already putting the pressure on Daniel. Daniel already 6/10 of KZ Matty ahead. And Fiora will go around the outside of Daniel. Daniel's going to go late on the brakes if he can, and Daniel's going to look to just take the apex of turn 2. I try to just pull across Fiora Shankly with a 3-second time penalty already. He's down in 9th position, 8th, 9th and 10th in their own battle in this race. So we ride on board with Fiora, the championship leader Rocco in behind. He's top 5, and then the 2 behind them in 6th and 7th. Just in a different race compared to the bottom 3 now. See what Fiora can do. In this race, can he climb himself up the grid? Daniel's going to try to put pressure on KZ Matty. A bit of a coming together in the sprint race that really just looked like tyre locking. But Fiora is going to have the chance down into turn 1. He's got the straight line speed. Daniel, questionable whether he actually defended legally there, as it looked like he went. Bit of weaving at the last second there, but Fiora we know has a straight line speed on Daniel. And Daniel has already dropped out of the DRS of KZ Matty and Vince ahead. And he's now got 2 drivers who are hungry for titles in behind him to chase him down in this race. Shankly, who's already got a 3-second time penalty, down to last now as well. Fiora is going to push Daniel through sector 2, and there's contact between them, and Fiora is off, and he's missing an end plate now, and that is going to frustrate Fiora, frustrate the Hungarian and the McLaren team in this race. And does he pit? Does he stay out? He stays out. So it's now Rocco's chance to get Daniel, but that, and Fiora was really ahead of Daniel there, and it looks like Daniel's just turned left on the straight to cause the incident. But Rocco is going to go to the inside and going to go up ahead of Daniel into turn 1. Daniel's going to try to go late on the brakes to hang around the outside. Rocco doesn't give him a chance, and Rocco now will have that double helping of DRS. Daniel, can he get side by side? Can he get back ahead? He's going to try. He's going to burn the battery down towards turn 4, but Rocco with the DRS gets ahead of him and up into 3rd position. As Daniel just going late on the brakes into the back of Rocco, unsettling the Racing Bull's car. As Daniel will let Fiora through. almost a lap after that incident. Or was it letting Fiora through, or was it a ploy to get the DRS? As he's got the DRS now. Was that some DRS games there from Daniel? We'll find out after the race, but it's brought Inzeeks into this as well, and Rocco now 3.6 of KZ Matty, who's sticking with Vince. Sticking within the DRS of Vince. I'll continue to push as Fiora is into the pits now. And a new front wing going onto his car on lap 5 of this race. End of lap 4, start lap 5. And that's from the contact we've seen with Daniel a lap ago. The leaders in a different world right now. Rocco has broken the DRS to Daniel and is now going to start chasing down the leaders if he can. And you'd think that he can close the gap down, especially once the pit stops come and, you know, when he goes onto the hard tyres, because Rocco isn't too bad when he gets onto the hard tyres. He does have some good pace on them compared to the mediums, as the mediums do feel it's sluggish on this year's game, to put it lightly. Into the pits now is Rocco. Now what is this plan from Rocco in the pits here? He's gonna go onto a hard compound of tyres. He's going for the undercut on the leading too. It's giving Daniel now a bit of clean air, but Daniel is going to continue to lose time to them ahead. I'll see if Daniel has anything to try and catch them ahead. Let's see what can happen now. Daniel losing almost a second this lap. Does he respond to Rocco pitting? He does respond to Rocco pitting early. It's Daniel into the pits, and he's going to come out behind Rocco. But how much behind? Has he closed the gap at all? Doesn't look like he has, and Fiora is now closing in on him as well. He's about 2.1 seconds behind Rocco, so he has lost time in that pit stop. And Fiora is just behind him as well now, after having to change it from wing as well. So these three, 8th, 9th and 10th now, the top two are in another world. Vince and KZ Matty, as Rocco is disconnected. It's now KZ Matty just gonna stay behind Vince and let Vince pull them along in this race. Or is he? Or is he gonna look for a move? No, he's not gonna look for anything. For a second he may have looked for a move, but he didn't. Pasty Smasher in the pits, as well as Ninzig's in there, out in 8th and 9th now. Daniel, 3-second time penalty for track limits. I called it before the race. There was a possibility that it would happen, and it has happened. So we'll send Rocco another invite. Just try and help him get back in as soon as he can. But KZ Matty. Tugger picks up a time penalty, but KZ Matty staying with Vince out in the lead of this race. Thomas James on the hards in 3rd. Tugger on the hards in 4th. They both started on the hard tyres, so they will be going long if they can in the first stint here. Neil has made it up past Rocco. Rocco is still not back in yet. Hopefully he can get in soon and continue his push for the Racing Bulls team. So let's see, who else can catch Rocco? Maybe Rocco is back into the session now. KZ now staying with Vince out in the lead of this race. So two of them will look to see either can do anything to put the other one off and try and win this race. Daniel now on the back of Shankly. This is for P5. Shankly still hasn't put Fiora, has had the fastest lap of the race however. And now Fiora is going to help put the pressure on Daniel. Try and make something happen. Although he's got older tyres, he can still push on and try and make something happen. Vince trying to just do anything to open the gap up to KZ Matty. He's not able to yet though. But they keep opening the gap to those behind. They've almost got a pit stop gap to Thomas James in 3rd. And that is how much they've been pushing on out in the front of this Grand Prix. Shankly is now also lost out to Fiora, and Fiora is going to try and put the pressure on Daniel now in this race. Try to make anything happen if he can. Let's try and make something in this race happen. Fiora is very close to Daniel now, as Daniel is going to try and make something happen. what can we expect to see from the rest of this race? Can Rocco pull himself back in this race, maybe? We'll have to see if he can or not. As Fiora also makes a pass, Tugger. Does he have what it takes to make it past Daniel? Daniel defends aggressively to the inside, giving Fiora the outside Fiora with a bit of a lock-up. Daniel very aggressively defending the inside there. Shankly in the pits again. And he will drop to 10th and drop quite comfortably to 10th. As he now has quite the gap to make up to his teammate. As we are a third of the way through this race now. Who will go on to win it? The anyone has Vince into the pits now. And where will Vince come out compared to Daniel and Fiora? Pitted a lot earlier than him. Daniel 5 laps ago, Fiora 7 laps ago. Actually, I had another lap onto that. Vince is going to come out just behind them. As Daniel very aggressively defended the inside, Fiora went back to the outside, realising that could have caused an incident with Vince exiting the pits. Fiora is comfortably now up into the lead of this race. Does Fiora have what it takes to go on? Perhaps win now for Paul? Or will the 2 stop for him be too costly? A lot to ask, not many answers as of yet, as that is an Aston Martin off the track, as the Aston Martin of Keith Matthews gone deep. Has he got a puncture? I think he does. He does have a puncture. He gets up a 10-second corner cutting penalty there. As that is possibly now a race over for the Aston Martin driver. That puncture is going to be costly for him. So we just have to see if he can pull anything back to receiving that puncture. He's into the pits. Sure, he won't give up after that, as he'll still want to score points for Aston Martin and for himself, but we'll just have to keep an eye on it. That is the risk he ran going an extra lap on the mediums. Thomas James now on the only driver to be on the tyres. He started the race on 13 lap old hards. He's in second position, but how much will he drop when he pits? Rocco is now on a recovery drive after being disconnected. Now Daniel's going to try and put any pressure he can on Vince. He was ahead of Vince, but he's already lost out and nearly out of the DRS. As Thomas James is in after seeing his teammate picking up a puncture, not wanting to succumb to the same fate. So he is now into the pits. Certainly looks like it is a 2-stop race tonight. Now everyone has made at least one pit stop. Fiora, Vince, Daniel, Rocco and Insix is the top 5. But we'll see if anyone can perhaps get up some positions now and then. Stogo makes a pass, Pasty Smasher for 7th position. He's going to have to try and pull away now with that penalty. Rocco 4.8 behind Daniel. He's top 3 now. In a DRS train. Led by Fiora, but he's about to be led by Vince as Vince makes it into the lead of this Grand Prix. Up into the lead of the race and will now continue. Try if he can to pull away. Pasty Smasher back up past, took it into turn 1. But we're not going to keep our eyes on that, we're going to keep our eyes on this as Rocco losing time to them. But this is because this DRS train can just drag each other along. Fiora sticking with Vince with the helping of DRS. Remember, Rocco just needs to try and get within 3 seconds. Does anyone in this battle for the lead have Wittix to win, or will we see a different one, not one of these current top 3, win? Is Vince already breaking the DRS to Fiora? And that is the effect that new tyres have. What can we expect to see from the rest of this race? Not too sure, as Daniel is now going to try to stick with Fiora and try and make something happen with Fiora. But is he close enough, and does he have what it takes? That's what we need to find out. As Daniel just can't seem to get a chance of making a move on Fiora. Does anyone have a chance going on to win this race? As Daniel sticking with Fiora, just not able to make anything really happen here against him. Does Rocco go for an undercut on them or not? He needs to make something happen here. As Vince picked up a 3-second time penalty, and that's going to give Fiora hope in this race. So now what will we see from the rest of this Grand Prix now? As Daniel continues to chase down Fiora, Rocco continues to try and chase down on the two ahead of him as well. 10 seconds now between Daniel and Rocco. Rocco still will lead the championship as long as he finishes, if my maths is right in my head. As Daniel struggling to keep in the DRS of Fiora now, and this could be where Daniel has his race come undone. As Fiora starting to kick into another gear now, and this might just be the opening Daniel needed. Sorry, the opening Rocco needed to close in on Daniel. So just keep an eye out on how things go. Fiora into the pits. So Fiora in, Rocco will follow him in. Fiora onto a new set of hards. Rocco also onto a new set of hards. And now, what tyres do Daniel... what tyres does Daniel have to go onto is the next big question. Will Rocco make the undercut work here? You'd fancy Rocco to make the undercut here, as he should theoretically have the fresher and faster tyres to make it work. But you never know in these situations. We'll just have to wait and see how this race plays out. So we'll keep our eyes on Thomas James. In fact, he's chasing down Daniel into the pits. What tyres does he have to go onto? Case of Matty, 3-second time penalty for him. Daniel onto mediums, and we've seen how this played out for one driver already. Has Daniel made the wrong choice, strategic wise, tyre wise? Can he go to the end or not? A lot of questions, and we're going to have to continue on the race to find our answers. So now, who can go on to do what needs to be done. Daniel has come out behind Fiora, but still ahead of Rocco. Rocco now should theoretically have the better tyres by the end of the race, by being on the hards compared to Daniel on the mediums. So mediums should, in theory, drop off pretty quickly. As Rocco makes it past Casey, little tap on Rocco there, is just going to tuck him behind him. So Rocco and Fiora are only drivers not to have picked up a penalty in this race so far for track limit infringements. Let's see what we can do now. What can happen now is Rocco 8.7 of Daniel. Daniel with the fresher tyres. Fiora fastest lap of the race. He's now setting his eyes out on the lead of this race. If he can. As Fiora rampages on at the front of this, we'll see if anything will be able to happen. Let's see if anything can happen. Can Fiora win, or will the tyre offset in the favour of Vince at the end work? And now we see, as we have 10 laps to go in this race, hopefully we finish in the next 15 or so minutes. As with 10 laps to go, surely can't be that much longer. Fiora is very much eating into the gap that Vince has at the front. Rocco is trying to just do what he can into the gap Daniel has. Daniel is trying to open up the gap. As W camera angle that. Can Daniel make anything happen is the interesting thing to wonder. And how long will them tyres go before they start to drop off a cliff? Because they will eventually drop off a cliff. As if. To a 3-second time penalty. So Daniel trying to open up the gap to Rocco. Rocco starting to close the gap, and Daniel's starting to lose out to Fiora as well. Togger and Pasty Smasher switching positions. Let's have a look at penalties. 13 seconds for KZ, Shankly on 6, Togger on 6, and 3 for Vince, Daniel, Pasty Smasher, and 6 and Thomas James. That's how things are starting to look in this race, as Vince surely is going to be into the pit in the next lap or so, as you'd have thought that he can't take the hards 23 laps surely. Oh, you'll see, as Rocco's really starting to eat into Daniel's gap now, and Daniel's starting to very much lose out to Fiora, and this battle for the final podium position is starting to shape up nicely. There's lap 29 of 36 now for Vince. There's still 7 or 8 laps to go in this race. Hello, Harry, in the background. He's dead. We have, if anyone's wondering, we have the league owner in the background. Oh, he might not be dead. Hello. No, we're on lap 29 of 36. Well, no, we had this sprint race, sorry. Honestly, this has been such a dull race, I can't lie. Dull to the point where do you want the gap between the top 5 or what? Gap between the top 5 is 47 seconds. I already have. I did illustrate as soon as you joined. I explained that you're in the background. Daniel picks up another 3-second time penalty, which puts him on 6 seconds, and that means Rocco just needs 1.4 seconds in the next few laps of what will be the quicker hard tyres at the end of this race, as the crossover should be happening anytime now, as Rocco's been gaining, and Daniel, who was having a go at me saying that he wasn't that far off the pace, and saying at least he wasn't a second off here, he was closer to being a second off pole than he was to being on pole, is now looking like he's going to lose that podium position. And I would not be surprised at all with the rate Rocco's gaining if Rocco can almost take it on track by the end of this race. Look, next question is, can Vince go to the end on these hards, or is it worth him pitting when he's got a chance to still catch Fiora? Because 17 laps already on them hards as he's about to enter lap 31. He's doing quite the stint on the hards. Can he whisper them all the way to the end? We've already seen one puncture in this race from KZ Matty, who sits down in 5th after being chasing the lead of this race for so long. Just have to see how this pans out. Rocco 6.3 behind. He's almost in that 6-second window to Daniel. In fact, he might be in the 6-second window by the end of this lap. as it's under 6 seconds now for Rocco. And Rocco, all of a sudden, has had a brand new spring of life in this race after getting disconnected, could still go on to take a podium finish here. And the championship leader is, as it stands, sitting in a podium position based on penalties. He just needs to not get a penalty himself, and he's got it. As for the battle for 8th between the two Salmers and Tugger, well, that's starting to heat up as they're now in a bit of a DRS strain with each other, but they got Vince, the race leader, bearing down on their rear ends. I'm going to try and make something happen if he can. So let's see how this all pans out at the end of this race now, as we'll have a watch of this battle whilst it's happening. As now I understand why. No, Rocco's got a 3-second time penalty. The gap is 4 seconds between him and Daniel though, and it's still closing with swan lap 32 of 36. Thank you, Cryptic Racing League, in the comment section, in the chat, whatever you want to call it. Thank you, W. You will also, along with that, see the absolutely legendary race day crash out when I'm left in charge without supervision. That happens quite a lot, if anyone was wondering. But Rocco is almost now 3 seconds off Daniel. And he is now within 3 seconds of Daniel. So during all that, Tugger's dropped down to 10th. During today's race as well, we also did not have Lewis get back on time. We also, earlier on today, found out they have checked the Ferrari owns a hotel. Who would have thought our driver in this league owns a hotel? Not me. I told him to give me all his money so I can invest it into buying an F1 car team. An F1 car team. Yeah, we'll go with that. An F1 car team. It is what it is. I've said it now. It's too late to go back. What else is there? Actually, Rocco is now within a second of Daniel. So Rocco, I said he might get on track. I think he will get on track, you know. Because Daniel went to the mediums. He defends very late onto the inside there. He's done that a couple of times against Rocco already, so he's done it against Fiora as well. Yeah, that's happened in this race. Will he do it again? He defends the outside this time. Rocco had a little look to the inside, decided against it. These two. Oh, that's naughty from Daniel. No, he just stopped it in the middle of the track and raced off again. If that was a brake check like I think it was, Rocco is going to be fuming. He is going to go to the outside. He's going to try and make it around the outside. Daniel, what is the need for that? You've lost the position into the corner. I mean, you give the position back now, but there was no need to go so aggressively. This is what I don't like. And now he's in the pits. If he retires in the pits now. No, he's going soft. Okay. I was going to say, if he retired after that, that would have been absolute head loss. Oh, don't worry. I'll tell you about what happened in the sprint later. Yeah, you will get story time afterwards. I'm also going to have to go not long after the race. I'm going to give you story time and then I'm going to be going a few minutes after. Anyways, Rocco up to third. Daniel now from a podium contending position down to 7th place. Yes, okay, you might get some places when people's penalties are added at the end of the race. However, Daniel, who said he had the pace to contend for a podium, was, to my knowledge, the only driver who went for the balanced strategy for compounds, was everyone else went for harder allocation. That's the word, allocation. Has possibly just threw away, has just threw away a podium position chance. So, absolute pure head loss there, in a way. He's now chasing down Ninzig. He's almost on the back of Ninzig, so we'll keep an eye on this. And we'll see, does he go aggressively into any moves? As he'll get the DRS down the main street. No, does he? No, he doesn't get the DRS this time round, but he's going to burn down the main street. And we're going to ride on board, in fact. As he doesn't go for any late moves on the Lithuanian driver this time round. But down on the run to turn 4 now. He's going to draw wheel to wheel. Will he go for a dive down the inside? He will. Ninzig is going to try and fight it back. And Daniel, there's contact between them. Half spin. Puts himself inside of Ninzig. That's a bit gay. He's going to send it into there. Huh? That's not a mistake I would have expected from Ninzig there. KZ Matty, don't tell me it's another puncture. It's not another puncture, thank Lord for him. He's not got his second puncture of the race. I thought he did for a second. But, KZ Matty now down to 7th behind them. Daniel is up ahead of Ninzig, so though. Maybe, perhaps I want to see what happened there after the race, because it's a weird place for Ninzig to go that deep off track. Does Daniel get Thomas James? I mean, they're on the same penalty as well. As long as Thomas James can defend this lap, it won't happen. But Vince is about to cross the line to win the Mexican Grand Prix from second on the grid. Fiora, who took pole, will round the final corner now, and he is going to come second in this race from pole position. Rocco next to cross the line. We've got a little bit of a wait for him to get to the line, but he's had a solid enough race. We've had Pacey Smasher, Tugger and Shankly in 8th, 9th and 10th in this race. Just got to now wait for others to finish. As Rocco to the line crosses to finish third. Daniel is pushing on. He's trying his hardest. He's begging for anything to happen, but Thomas James will finish in 4th position. Daniel will finish in 5th as he crashes it across the line. Ninzig finishes in 6th, and KZ Matty will cross the line to finish in 7th. And what could have been, as him and Vince were flying away at the start of the race, but that puncture cost him heavily in this race. As now crossing the, not crossing the line. So final results. So Vince wins in Mexico. Fiora finishes second with fastest lap. Then Rocco climbs himself back up to third after the disconnection. Thomas James in 4th with Daniel in 5th. Ninzig's down in 6th. KZ in 7th. Then Pacey Smasher in 8th. Tugger in 9th. And Shankly in 10th. We had everyone finish this week. Yay. That's a new. Anyways, we will be back next time out for, I can't read, Bahrain. We'll be back next week for Bahrain, for the Bahrainian Grand Prix. Until then, have a good one. We'll be back Wednesday for thingy Elite Div. So see you next Monday.